Greetings, nutrition students, and happy chapter number 14. So now, again, we're kind of going through the stages of nutrition and how nutrition is varied or different during certain stages of our life. So we're starting off with the pregnancy stage and nursing stage, and we'll talk about what is best for them. Then we'll talk about what's best for children and what's best for as we age. And so we'll talk about from here on out in the chapters, we'll talk about what adjustments we need to make as we go through these different periods or times in our life, right? So chapter 14, talking about, again, pregnancy and the needs that, so of course we're related more towards our moms who are carrying babies, but dad needs to play an active role in making sure mom's getting the nutrients that she needs during this critical time. Right, so the physiology, or what is going on during pregnancy, maybe what's happening with the baby from a nutrient perspective. There's two really critical parts or things we need to consider. Number one is we can see from this picture the amniotic sac. So the amniotic sac is like this protective layer. It's this outer circle that we're seeing here, and that amniotic sac is what's protecting this baby. It's keeping that amniotic fluid. Remember I mentioned that's kind of what they're drinking in there. It's keeping that fluid inside that baby. Baby kind of swishes around and moves around in that sac, right? But that sac is its protector. And then the way that the baby gets its nutrients from mom is going to be what we call the placenta. So the placenta is over here on the right hand side, and you see this kind of big dark colored thing here. And so it's this attached to the amniotic sac, and then you see this tube here, the umbilical cord, which is really where this the nutrients from that, mom is going to go to baby. And so this is where everything mom eats basically is going to go to get transferred to baby. That's why we have to be very careful about what we eat and drink during pregnancy stages. And so these two things play a really vital role in keeping baby healthy during this gestation or pregnancy stage. And you can read here about kind of the different stages that our baby is going through, all the way from conception, like when does that egg get fertilized by the sperm, all the way up until when our baby is delivered, right? So read that on your own time. And then again, gestation or kind of this pregnancy stage is typically in a full-term baby, about 40 weeks that we're talking about. And if you took human development with me or someone else, we kind of talked about this different stages, the zygote, the embryo, the fetus, that a unborn child goes through. When a baby is born at 35 weeks, or before 35 weeks, I should say, it's considered preterm or a preemie baby, premature. And so in other words, we're saying this baby came early is what we're saying. And with that coming early typically means that there's going to be some issues we need to be concerned about. If we see here, you can see that this baby, looking at the hands of this adult, you can see how tiny this premature baby is. And it's amazing that today we can really help babies to survive that are at least born at 22 weeks or later. But they're going to be in the hospital for some time with some different issues that we're tending to. So mom during pregnancy, we're looking at about gaining 25 to 35 pounds. You're gaining some weight to house that baby successfully inside of your uterus or your womb there, 27 pounds being the average weight gain for women. Right? And read through here about how you can actually still be pretty physically active. I was physically active up until about 7.5 months during pregnancy. It helped me feel better and sleep better because you're going to be dealing with a lot of uncomfortableness. Well, to mention in a minute here. So being physically active, don't feel like because you are pregnant, all of a sudden you're afraid of doing some activity that's going to, cause the baby to come out or something like that. We want to keep our heart pumping, keep everything healthy for labor, because labor is a real physical process on your body. So again, we want to help it. So the discomforts of pregnancy, there's quite a few of them. And the reason is because when we get pregnant, our body has this massive, massive shift in hormones. So it's like a flood comes down, right? So a flood of hormones is coming into your body to support the new life that you are creating. And because of that, our body kind of, there's side effects to it. if you will. One of them is going to be what we call edema or swelling. So this is that moms who will say, oh, my fingers are so swollen, my feet are so swollen. There's all this fluid that kind of builds up because we are having this flux, and we might be having some high blood pressure and things like that. Morning sickness. So morning sickness is when we say that we kind of feel queasy, that our stomach is just flipping around or upset. That's morning sickness. Again, you can eat crackers or do different things for that. Heartburn. Heartburn is, oh gosh, this constant feeling of, oh, you know what heartburn is, right? It's this pain that comes up, kind of up that esophagus pathway, and it starts to really kind of burn or hurt. And we get a lot of that because, again, you're going to see that you're housing so much weight, as we see in this picture here, that extra weight is pushing on a lot of different things, our diaphragm, right? And then hemorrhoids or constipation is a big one. And not only that, so think of it again, that excess weight is laying on top of your rectum, it's laying on top of your bladder. You have to go to the bathroom all the time, right? Because all that pressure is new and different, and your body is having to make some adjustments to all of this. And it's very much, I think, genetic or hereditary, how you go through pregnancy. In other words, I meet some women who tell me, man, pregnancy was wonderful. It was a piece of cake. I didn't have any morning sickness. Everything was great. I popped that baby out in 4 hours. We were good. And then other moms, I have one friend who had 5 kids, and for all 5 kids, she had morning sickness. She threw up all 9 months of her pregnancy and in delivery. So literally she was throwing up, pushing, throwing up, pushing. And I couldn't believe she had 5 kids. I'd have stopped after a couple maybe. But anyway, so we all kind of experience pregnancy a little differently. So, and there can be a lot of complications of pregnancy. Understand that even though here in America, we are a very developed, rich nation, we still lose a lot of moms in pregnancy. A lot of moms through childbirth, whether that be human doctor error or it just be complications that were beyond our control, we still have issues here. So things can happen, high blood pressure, diabetes. When we talk about having a baby with Down syndrome, it's very much related to mom's age. So mom's age at the time she conceived the baby increases. The higher her age, the more increase in risk of having a baby with Down syndrome. So if you are 25 years old when you get pregnant, you have a 1 in 1,200 chance of having a baby with Down syndrome. 10 years later, if you're 35 years old when you get pregnant, you have a 1 in 350 chance of having a baby with Down syndrome. 5 years later, at 40, when you're 40, you have a 1 in 100 chance of having a baby with Down syndrome. At 45, you have a 1 in 30 chance, and at 49, a 1 in 10. And it's all related to mom's eggs. So it's all related to the ovum or your eggs and how old you are. And so again, Down syndrome is a chromosomal abnormality where instead of having 46 chromosomes like most of us do, they have 47. They have an extra chromosome. Right, so macronutrients, meaning, again, we're talking about carbs, protein, and fat. What mom needs during pregnancy, she needs, I want you to look at this because she's going to need to be eating well. Right, to be getting all those macronutrients. In addition, she needs a lot of water. So water requirements during pregnancy, extra water supports that needs of the fetus. More water is required for that amniotic sac and that fluid that's in there, right? And then higher water requirements to increase our blood. Remember we said the heart has to pump your blood to get oxygen to your cells. Well, now it's got this big round ball. It's dealing with getting oxygen too and getting around it to go get oxygen to the other cells, and so it's got to work harder, and so that fluid is going to help us with our blood volume. The micronutrients, remember, micronutrients, things that we don't need as much as for the macros, the 3 big things. We're talking about our vitamins and our minerals and stuff here, and so be aware here that we're going to need if you look at the blue line is pregnant, the red line is non-pregnant, and you can see here how much more we need of a lot of these vitamins and minerals here during pregnancy. Okay? And make sure to look here and look at what you should be eating in a plate format, and then an additional, understand you should be drinking an additional 4 glasses of water a day. That's a tall order. So if we say that you should be drinking 8, now you're 12 a day, 12 glasses a day. And so again, do what I do, make a picture with that much water. And so you can look at it and say, oh, I haven't been drinking enough. I need to guzzle a couple glasses right now, even though I'm not thirsty. The thirst doesn't have to do with you drinking water. You don't want to get thirsty, because when you're thirsty, it's beyond the point of your body needing it. Now you're getting dehydrated. And so making sure that you're drinking those 4 extra glasses per day. We just looked at our micronutrients and how much more vitamins and minerals our pregnant moms need. And that's why maybe we should be taking a prenatal vitamin. That's the first thing doctors will do when you're pregnant. When you go into a doctor, you're pregnant, okay, let me give you some prenatal vitamins, right? This is what you should take, because we want to make sure that you're getting everything that you need, right? And then again, some of our concerns with risk of being pregnant or going through labor. Read through these kind of on your own time to look at where smoking and different activities come into play with possible risk. And critical development time of our fetus. So our fetus kind of goes through these 3 stages of development during that 40 week or so of a normal healthy birth, and kind of looking at what's going on and what is developing at each stage. All right, so here's some of the do's and don'ts, if you will, of pregnancy. This is important. This is probably one of the first things that your OBGYN, your doctor, will talk to you about when it comes to being pregnant. Some of the things I hated, you're not supposed to have deli meat. So if you're pregnant, you really should not be going to Subway and getting a ham sandwich or a turkey sandwich or anything of that nature, because deli meat is not completely cured. It's not really, it has some things in it that because our body is susceptible to foreign entities or bad stuff, we don't want to allow it to come into us. And so deli meat, oh gosh, one of the things I hated was if you have steak, you're supposed to have it well done. So no medium rare, which is how I like mine. No, well done. And so all your meat should be cooked well done. There's certain cheeses or certain foods you can't have. As I said, I'm Mexican-American. I love chorizo, which is kind of a sausage, a Mexican sausage, and you couldn't have it during pregnancy. So read through here the things that you should and shouldn't be doing. These are important, right? These you can control. Eat fish. It's a good thing. Right, fetal alcohol syndrome, FAS. So alcohol abuse, or basically mom being pregnant, drinking excessive alcohol, is a leading cause of preventable birth defects and mental retardation during pregnancy. So we have a hand or a role in how our children fare during this pregnancy stage if we drink. So the physiology of lactation, what we mean by that is nursing. So we're talking about breastfeeding. That's lactation, breastfeeding. And so what we're going to say and what we know from research is this is the way to go. This is what's best for your child. Your breast milk is naturally made by your body, and it's naturally made to provide all the nutrients that your baby needs. So this is preferred. So maternal nutrient needs, the needs of your baby when they're first born, those first kind of that early time is greater than during pregnancy, meaning you need to make sure that your baby gets what it needs right away. And that's typically, I said, the best source being your breast milk. So your breast milk will meet all of those needs, but what happens right now is really, really important. Nutritional needs of infants. So our infants during this first 6 months, actually, the macronutrient, right, of our carbs, protein, and fat, the macronutrient that they need the most is going to be fat. Yeah, during this time. If we look at these 2 slides, you can see the difference between a infant or baby on the left-hand side and an adult on the right-hand side. As we talked about before, for adults, we should be getting 20 to 35% of our calories or nutrients from fat. As a baby, you should be getting about 54%. Yeah, it's just because this is such a time of growth and development, this is what they need. And that, again, your breast milk provides that. So our infants, a lot of times when you start taking your baby to the pediatrician, to the doctor, they'll show you these charts. They'll take their height and their weight and all these different things. They'll measure them and they'll come out with these charts and they'll go, okay, So little Johnny is at 35th percentile for weight and 45th percentile for height, right? Sometimes our babies go through what we call failure to thrive. Failure to thrive means that the baby has this inability to keep up with the normal growth curve. So if your doctor shows you the picture and here's a bunch of lines for the norm and your baby's like way under, then that's failure to thrive. It's not gaining enough weight. It's not growing at the size it should. So either something's going wrong with the nutrients we're giving the baby, or the baby's body is not absorbing and digesting food correctly, and we need to figure that out. As I mentioned, extensive benefits from breastfeeding. Yeah, just awesome. I can't go on enough about, if you take human development, we talk more about this, but you know, it's just read through here because there's just lots. I know it's not convenient, or maybe you don't want to, but there's great benefits to it. And breast milk and formula. So our breast milk, compared to formula-fed babies, babies receiving breast milk have fewer allergies, ear infections, and respiratory illness. Research has proven it is physically better for your children. And there's also that nice emotional or closeness component that comes with it. So when should we bottle feed? There's a few times. What if mom is taking something that baby can't have, like a medication? We remember everything when mom is breastfeeding, everything you eat still goes right to baby. So you need to make sure that they don't get that. Or if mom had HIV or AIDS or some type of genetic issue that we don't want to pass on to baby, that's when we don't bottle feed. I know it's a gross picture, but this is nursing bottle syndrome. And what this is when moms or dads, guardians, whoever, gives baby a bottle right before bedtime and puts them in the crib and lets them go to sleep with the bottle. Because what's happening there is that baby is keeping the bottle, kind of like they'll even fall asleep with the nipple still in their mouth. And again, that milk is going to have sugars. And so we're not kind of getting saliva the chance to wash that sugar off. And so this is how we're rotting or eroding our teeth when we do that. And so don't do it. Don't put your babies to bed with a bottle. You feed them the bottle and then you put them down. Okay. And then make sure to go through your Clicker slides to learn a little bit more about lactation and pregnancy and nutrients during this time. And we will talk with you next time on Chapter 15.